Lakers fans, I need you to remember something, just for a second. It's June of 2020, the bubble, Miami Heat across the floor, the biggest three-pointer this franchise has hit in 20 years, and one man rises up from the corner and buries it. Cold-blooded, ice water, Anthony Davis, championship dagger, banner going up in Staples Center. Hold that memory in your head, because at 11 this morning on Get Up, Shams Charania, ESPN 27-year-old kid with the phone that never stops ringing, dropped a report that turned the entire summer inside out. Anthony Davis is coming back, home, to Los Angeles. And before you scroll off, before you say no way, before you assume this is another blog fantasy, I'm telling you right now, by the end of this video, I'm going to give you the one detail, the one specific sentence out of Shams' mouth that proves this isn't a rumor. This is a done deal being lawyered up in real time. So do not click away, because if you leave early, you miss the part that makes your jaw drop. Here's how it went down. Mike Greenberg is running Get Up. It's the usual summer chaos. LeBron watch is spinning for the 700th day. Everyone's arguing over who wins the West. And then they cut to Shams. He's in that little remote studio, the one with the dark background, and he's not smiling. He's got that look, the heavy one. And he says he's just gotten off the phone. Not sources tell me, not I'm hearing. He says he just hung up. And what he's hearing is that there is a real, live, active framework being built to bring Anthony Davis back to the Los Angeles Lakers. And then, pay attention here, Shams looks straight into the camera and says, "This is not speculation. This is where the deal is." Full stop. Nobody laughs. Molly Karam doesn't jump in. The panel is quiet. When Shams uses the word "where the deal is" in July, he's not throwing darts. He's telling you the paperwork is being drafted now. The whiplash. Because just a week ago, 6 days ago actually, you saw Rich Paul on that Max Kellerman podcast, The Game Over One, and he sat there and he said Anthony Davis is going to play for the Washington Wizards next season. Full stop. He said it on the record. And here's Shams, 6 days later, saying the exact opposite. So which is it? Well, welcome to the NBA, where an agent's public statement and a front office's private phone call are two completely different animals. Rich Paul was doing his job, protecting his client's leverage, and now, apparently, that leverage has produced a real offer from a real team, and that team just so happens to be the one Anthony Davis already won a championship with. Stay with me, because once you understand why the Lakers are the destination that makes too much sense, you're not going to be able to look at this any other way. Let's investigate. 3 reasons. And reason 3 is the specific thing that made me believe this is actually happening. So we're building right to it. Do not leave. Reason number 1, the hole in the middle of the floor. Watch what happened to this team the second Luka Doncic hit that hamstring in April. Watch it, really watch it. 4 games. Oklahoma City swept, gone. And in every single one of those losses, there was a moment. A possession, a stretch, a quarter, where the Lakers needed a big man to just go get a rebound, protect the rim, make Chet Holmgren think twice about coming down the lane. And it never came. It never came. That's why the front office traded for Walker Kessler in a sign and trade this summer. That's why they sent DeAndre Ayton to Washington. They know. They know what happens when Luka doesn't have a real anchor next to him. And Anthony Davis is not just a rim protector. He's a former Defensive Player of the Year runner-up, a shot blocker, a rebounder, a switchable all-NBA level defensive presence at either the 4 or the 5. You want to talk about fixing the exact wound that OKC ripped open? That's the surgeon walking through the door. Reason number 2. Luka needs him, full stop. And I don't mean that in some abstract stars need stars way. I mean it specifically. Luka Doncic is a walking bucket. He led the entire NBA in scoring at 33.5 points a night. But the way he plays basketball, pick and roll, drive and kick, pull up from 30, he needs a big who can do 2 things. He needs a big who can catch a lob at the rim for the easy 2, and he needs a big who can pop out for a shot when the defense sags. Anthony Davis does both. He's rolled with Luka before, briefly. He knows how to play off him. And this is the part that people don't want to say out loud. So with LeBron James officially telling the Lakers he's playing his 24th season somewhere else, this roster desperately needs a second star. Austin Reeves is a real player, but he's not a second all-star. Kessler is a project. The math on this roster is Luka plus role players unless somebody big walks through that door. AD walking through that door is the entire ball game. And before reason 3, and so because reason 3 is the one that seals it, hit me in the comments right now. Lakers fans, real question. Do you want AD back, or is the injury history a deal breaker after everything you've been through? Because I have a feeling the fan base is more split on this than anybody in national media is admitting, and I want to read the war that's about to break out below. Go. Reason number 3, the name that changes everything, Rob Pelinka. Look, I know we don't talk about the front office guy on a highlight channel, but right now you have to, because who is the man who traded for Anthony Davis the first time? In 2019, in the deal that gave you the 2020 title. Rob Pelinka. Who is the man who kept AD, extended AD, and rode with AD through injury after injury after injury? Rob Pelinka. And who is still, as of this exact moment, running the show for the Los Angeles Lakers? Say it with me, Rob Pelinka. There is no executive on planet Earth who values Anthony Davis's specific brand of two-way superstar basketball more than the guy who bet his career on him 7 years ago. The relationship never fully soured. When AD was moved to Dallas in the Luka trade, that was a business decision, not a personality clash. And that means the phone lines between Pelinka's office and Rich Paul's office never went cold. They've been open the entire time. Stop. Rewind that in your head. The GM knows the player. The player knows the system. The player already won a title in this building. When Shams says a framework is where the deal is, it's because the two sides doing the framework already speak the same language. They don't have to be introduced. They just have to agree on the math. Now, the skeptic, and my God, is the skeptic loud on this one? Stephen A. Smith went absolutely nuclear. He's screaming, "The man can't stay healthy. You want me to believe AD?" A 32-year-old center with a history of missing time is gonna anchor your team in the playoffs? With a max contract that runs through his 34th birthday, you lost your mind, Los Angeles. And the honest truth, Stephen A. is not wrong about the risk. AD has a body of work that includes brilliant seasons and brutal absences. He is owed north of $58 million this coming season, and there's a player option north of $62 million behind it. That is a lot of money for a man whose calendar and whose training staff have not always been friends. But here's my counter, and here's the reason the front office is willing to swallow that pill. What is the alternative? What is the alternative for the Lakers this summer? LeBron told them he's leaving. The trade market for stars this summer has already been picked clean. Giannis is in Miami, Kawhi to Toronto, Ja Morant to Portland, LaMelo to Minnesota. All the megastars who moved have moved. If you don't get AD, who exactly is your second star next to Luka? You cannot walk into a Luka Doncic locked in for years era with a supporting cast and a prayer. You have to swing. And AD, injury history included, is a genuine two-way superstar who has already proven he can be the second best player on a championship team in this exact building. Stephen A. is looking at the risk. The Lakers are looking at the alternative. Those are two very different calculations. Now here's the payoff I promised. That one detail from Shams. Here's what he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's close. He said the sticking point right now is not whether the deal happens. It's how the salaries balance under the second apron. Read that sentence twice. He didn't say if, he said how. When an insider tells you the negotiation is about the math instead of the concept, you are not in the will they stage anymore. You are in the when they stage. That is the tell. That is the sentence that separates a fantasy from a countdown clock. And when you pair that with the fact that the Lakers just moved Ayton out, clearing a big man's contract off the books, the picture snaps into focus. That Ayton trade wasn't just about getting off Ayton. It was about clearing a runway. Stop. Think about that. They cleared a runway. Runways are for landing planes. And there is a plane painted purple and gold taxiing. Let me give you the funny part because this one is delicious. The last time the Lakers traded for Anthony Davis, they had to gut their entire young core to do it. Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, 3 first-round picks, the whole apocalypse. This time, he might just walk through the door on a contract exchange because everybody's tired of paying him. Full circle. The universe has a sense of humor. The man who cost this franchise its future in 2019 might come back for essentially free in 2026 because Washington doesn't want the bill. Try not to laugh. That is the NBA. But I owe you the honest nightmare too because it exists. There is a version of this where AD signs a max, plays 50 games, misses the second round with a strained calf, and Luka is standing in the corner of the locker room in April explaining to reporters that next year is the year. That's the risk. Every version of this has that risk. And you know what? I don't care, because standing pat with Luka and role players is a slow, quiet death. Swinging for AD, injuries and all, is at least playing to win. The Lakers do not do slow deaths. Not in this jersey, not in this city. You either try to hang another banner or you're wasting Luka's prime. There's no third option. So let me bring it home. Anthony Davis back to the Lakers makes sense because he plugs the exact hole that OKC exposed and Kessler alone can't fill. It makes sense because Luka needs a real second star and the market is empty. It makes sense because Rob Pelinka has been on the phone with Rich Paul for 7 years and neither of them ever really stopped talking. And Shams saying the deal is a question of how, not if, is the tell that this is real. That's the case. Now here's what I'm watching next, and this is the next video, so hit subscribe because you don't want to miss it. If AD lands, the very next domino is the starting lineup. Do you start Kessler at the 5 and slide AD to the 4? Do you flip it? What happens to Rui Hachimura? And most importantly, with a Luka, AD, Reeves, Hachimura, Kessler 5, does this team actually have enough shooting to survive a playoff series against Oklahoma City? Because those are the questions that decide whether this is a masterstroke or a mirage. And I've got a theory that's gonna blow your mind, but that's next time. For now, comments, likes, subscribe, all of it. Lakers fans. The banner might be back on the table. Buckle up.